Hi Foxes, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing my February book wrap up. So all of the books that I read during the month of February, and spoiler alert, it wasn't many. But that's okay because this one was a beast. So I can't wait to talk to you about what I read in February. I woke up feeling a little bit down today. I didn't sleep very well, and somehow yesterday I contracted a double eye infection. So can't really tell, I think, because I've been doing treatments, but yeah, so I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna put on my new book shirt. I'm gonna put on my little book earrings here someone made for me, and we're gonna talk about books because I really enjoy books. So what better way to brighten up the day, right? So we are gonna go in order of like how I read them during the month, and unfortunately that leaves us with the one book that I did not like first, and that is The Daughters of Temperance, Hobbs. I purchased this around the same time as I purchased the Spellbook of Katrina Van Tassel. I think I bought them in the same trip back in October because I was looking for like sort of spooky reads, things kind of themed around like witchcraft and just like the history of witchcraft. And this is sort of about, it's like a back and forth, I believe, between the modern day and like sort of the witch trials era of Salem, Massachusetts. And so that is very interesting to me. However, this book did not read well at all. There were two stories that you switch back and forth between, and honestly both of them were just depressing. One was about a little I don't know if she was an orphan, but she was like an abused like little girl, you know, like in history, and then the main character was like an academic who was frankly rather selfish and stuck up. And so I got, I think like 40 pages into this, and then I decided that I was going to look up to see whether it got any better. And I looked this up, and a lot of the reviews were just feeling like I was, that they didn't like the main character, and that the language was really stuffy. And so I just put it down. So this was a did not finish for me. If it sounds interesting to any of you, if you go online and you read the description and it sounds good, let me know. You can have this book. I will otherwise put it in a little free library at the park, and someone else can have it. But yeah, Daughters of Temperance, Hobbs. I wanted to like it, but I didn't. And so I moved on. Did not finish. Next up was a book that I loved. This was a 5-star book for me. And it was called This Is How You Lose the Time War. And it has two authors, Max Gladstone and Amal et Motar. I think that's how you say his name. But it was just the most unique story that I have read in a really long time. I've read a lot of books. So for someone to break outside of the norm of what I'm used to reading and the type of literary storytelling that they are doing, it was just really exceptional, if you ask me. So this is a book about two agents in a time war who begin sending like oddly encrypted letters to each other through time and space and multiple lifetimes, because they are somewhat ageless, and just their sort of like falling in love story, and how unique it is to find someone who you feel is your equal and can add to your existence rather than detract from it, and just like the feeling of isolation, of being alone and unlike your colleagues, but then finding someone who's like your match. And they're both women, so it is, well, I mean, they're like immortal space travelers, so they're women, but sometimes they're men, you know, like depending on whatever life they're leading. And yeah, it's just, I learned so many new words from this book, and that does not happen very often. But I started keeping a record in my journal of just all of the interesting words that these authors just worked into the text that I couldn't figure out with context clues, like exactly what they meant. So I'll put some of those up on the screen for you now so that you can also be entertained by learning new words. Peccadillo, a small, relatively unimportant offense or sin. Hakapick, a Nordic seal hunting pick. Orthography, conventional spelling system of a language. Yeah, so it's not often that I come across a book that introduces me to that many new words. Sometimes there'll be like one or two, but there were a lot in this one. I'll read you a blurb from the back because I really don't want to spoil anything for you. If you decide that you like this book, if you like sci-fi, and you kind of like that star-crossed love story, then this book would be really good for you. So this says, Red belongs to the agency, a post-singularity technotopia. Blue belongs to Garden, a single vast consciousness embedded in all organic matter. Their pasts are bloody and their futures mutually exclusive. They have nothing in common, save that they're the best, and they're alone. And, yeah, it's just their story of how they fall in love, and it has a happy ending. You're unsure throughout the whole thing how it's going to end. But if you liked The Night Circus, which is one of my favorite books of all time, or you liked 10,000 Doors of January, this book would be, I think, really good for you. It's a little hard to get into and to understand at first, but once you sort of fall in love with the characters, and it's like, it's letter writing, so it's a letter from one and a letter from another, and then there's a little bit of, I think, first person in between those two. But yes, highly recommend. I will not be giving this book away because this is a book that I will keep, that I will reread, that I will tell other people that they should read, so highly recommend. This is How You Lose the Time War. And then I kind of went into a hiatus while I waited for this book to come out. So I finished that one about a week before this one came out. And I started a Scott Fitzgerald book, The Beautiful and the Damned. I'm just kind of like co-reading it with a friend, buddy reading it, but I just couldn't get my mind off of wanting to wait and read this one because I knew that once it came out I would be like all in, and I was. So this is the 5th book in a series by this author, Sarah J. Maas, or Mass. I don't know how you say it. And I went to Barnes & Noble on opening, like, release day to get this book, and I really enjoyed it. This is a book where you really have to have read the other books that come before for it to make any sort of sense whatsoever, or for the characters to be endearing at all to you. But there's 3 other books. A Court of Thorn and Roses is the first one, and it started off as a Beauty and the Beast retelling by this author, and then in the second book, the author was like, wait, no, let's just scrap that, and let's just do like something completely different. And so you follow this main character, Farah, and she, is a human who gets taken into the world of fairy, and through a number of like trials that she has to go through, she ends up basically staying there. And this is, the series is kind of like the story of her life and how she falls in love with one of the like lords of this like realm, and it's really good and very involved, and there's a number of characters that you sort of fall in love with, and it's also very saucy. So if you don't like sex scenes, don't get this one because there are some in the other books, and this one was like chock full of them. It was like Alright, we're going for it. So this is a redemption arc for one of the characters that was in the first few, like the first 3 books. So this is the sister of Farah. She was a human, got changed into an immortal, not happy about it. Goes on like a downward spiral of just like misery and like self-loathing, and then this is like her story of coming out of it and you know, falling in love and like finding purpose in life again. And I'm not like a huge redemption arc fan, I guess, but I did enjoy this one. I think mostly because the characters were so familiar and I was just rooting for them to be happy. So if you like fantasy and you like romance and like good world building, but also what I would consider to be more of like an easy read, like there's not going to be any new words in this book, but I definitely recommend this series. And it starts out with, again, A Court of Thorn and Roses. They are selling like hotcakes right now, so hopefully you can get your hands on one if you like them. But this book hit the New York Times #1 bestseller list. And yeah, so I love this series. I ship this series. I love it. So highly recommend. And that was what I finished. I finished this, I think, a week before February ended. And then I had ordered a book for myself that I've been wanting to read for a really long time. When I worked at Barnes & Noble, I borrowed it from a coworker, and it's just such a dense book that I really felt bad keeping it for the length of time that I knew I would require to read it. So I gave it back to him before I was done, and I ended up buying it for myself finally. It's like a $45 book, so I just never really wanted to splurge. And it's not the type of book that you could buy used, because it comes with all sorts of like ephemera and things in the pages, and they need to be in specific spots in the book. But hopefully I will get to talk about that in my March wrap up, because again, like This Is How You Lose the Time War, it is not like any other book that I've ever read. It's like a meta story. You've got a library book that's chucked out, and you have notes in the margins between 2 separate people, and a story is unfolding in the novel that you're reading, and then a story is unfolding in the sidelines with all of the notes, and then you've got all of these like little paper extras, and it's just really cool. So I'm a few chapters into that, and again, it's slow going, but totally loving it. So hopefully I will get to talk about that in my next wrap up, but I just wanted to get this out there. While you're watching this, I'm actually on vacation, so if you don't see me reply to any comments, I am taking a break from social media and sort of resetting, but I did want to just get this out there. And yeah, I do appreciate if you leave me your comments down below, and I will read them when I get back, and it will make me happy to hear what you thought of all of the different books that I've read. If you want that Daughters of Temperance Hobbs book, just let me know. And yeah, so I will see you in March for my this is March. I will see you in April for my March book wrap up, and hopefully I will actually have some books to share with you if I get through this book that I'm reading now. So I will see you next time. Okay, bye.